Welcome everyone to the Blue Abroad show. You might recognise the guy who's chatting with me on the other end here, Anthony Koutoufides. Mate, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Terry. Good to be on.
We had a good chat, you and I. It was last season. It was the end of, I think it was round 4 when things were not looking anywhere near as what they're looking now for the Blue Boys. It's good to be, watching a team that's competitive.
Yeah, it has been. I think for all of us, we get a bit excited when the boys start winning, and all of a sudden you think, geez, where's our list going to? All of a sudden you see some great players out there, but it just goes to prove that, if the players are happy, they can really perform at their best, you know what I mean? And that really comes down to a lot of factors that I can only probably guess from being an outsider because I don't really know internally what's happening, but really good to be able to witness the guys in the way they're playing currently.
Yeah, and I do remember the last time we chatted, I spoke to you about, when is that turning point? When does it start clicking? And I understand it was a bit different for you because you were in the system a little younger, and obviously the game in general was different in the way that you trained back then. But do you feel like this is the turning point, or do you feel like maybe this is just a good little patch of form and there's maybe some more bumps along the road to go?
Oh, look, there's going to be more bumps, but it's definitely a major turning point, considering how many games we had lost previous to the way Teague's got him going now. I think he's at 5 out of 8 now because it was 5 out of 7, so we lost on the weekend. 5 out of 8 is just an unbelievable achievement. We've got a tough road ahead now, and that would probably sort of sum up where, how good we are in the next few weeks. But, if we can still win here and there, that to me has just been a remarkable season for us, a lot better than what I expected, particularly in the first half of the year.
100%. And we'll get to the footy in a moment, but the one thing I really want to bring up with you, and the one thing I think you really set the template for athletes sort of post-career is, obviously you're in a new world now, the business world, the entrepreneurial world, and I think that's really important because I think what we see is footballers, they need to develop different skills. Talk to me a little bit about your transition from, athlete to businessman.
Yeah, it was a difficult one. The first 3 years I was really unsure, a bit lost in this world, I think, because you come out of that footy cocoon. Everything I knew was footy. And I thought I was ready when I retired. And I guess at the back of my head, I probably always thought I'd have some sort of thing to do with, within the AFL system. But for whatever reason, all the doors were closed to me. I still, to this day, a little bit unsure why. But I did have to find myself. I got quite ill actually in 2010. Health-wise, I was really concerned for the first time. Sleeping 11 hours a night. I'd get home from work, sleep on the couch, had a lot of health issues, stopped training for a little while. Training's my passion, as you know, Terry. I still do it now. And as long as the body is able, I'll still be out there training. It's got a few injuries from back in the day, but I just try to work around it. So I was lucky. I wear the nutrition proud, Herbalife Nutrition. There's a lot of skeptics out there, but a company that's been around for 39 years, $7.7 billion with Cristiano Ronaldo behind the brand, number 1 in the world. I'm not sure why the skeptics are out there, but anyway, it's not my issue. I know what it's done for me. The product's changed my life 8.5 years ago, and now I've gone out there to help many other people too. So when I seen the business opportunity where goals came back into my life, love and passion, I could help people, transform, whether it was health or wealth. To me, that was like, forget about the car finance company I was working for, man, and the boss was great to me there, don't get me wrong, but this was something where I could wake up in the morning with love again and go and fulfill some more dreams that I still have. At 34 retired, I still had a lot of years to live, Kids, I want to be a good role model, want them to stay healthy. It's that lifestyle, and so it resonated with me. It's not for everyone. And, I just went out there building communities, a fit club, and, helping people transform their lives. And a lot of people try this and try that and overcomplicate things. For me, this is so very basic and simple in order to stay in shape.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when you talk about business and sort of going out there and sort of chasing something, I've, as you know, I was living away for a little while, so I've come back into the fold in Australia. And I think the one thing I've noticed is sort of people ask, what are you doing and how did you work here and how did you move overseas and build a life there? And I think we live in, maybe we live in fear, maybe we just don't believe in ourselves a little bit. What do you think that is? Why do you think people don't chase their passion?
Some people, I guess, sometimes the mental clarity is not there, you know what I mean? Or they're in a life that they're just comfortable in just continuing on. They don't have a vision. And sometimes it's the people that you hang with, you know, that they say the 5 people you surround yourself with is what you become. And so if people hang around negative people and gossip, then they're going to get those sort of people in their life. Whereas if people that are driven and have got big goals and want to create something for themselves and inspire, you know, the masses of people and be a great role model for their kids, then they've got another way of life, you know. So everyone's in a different position, and some people are just satisfied with where they are, but sometimes it's that turning point where they just go, you know what, I've had enough of my life. I've had enough of working for a boss. You know, all this work I'm doing, I'm underpaid, working so hard, and the dreams that I had throughout my 20s and 30s, they're not being fulfilled in the current state that I'm in. And so I always say to people, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? If you keep doing what you're doing, thinking what you're doing, acting the way you're doing, you know, that you are, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because if things aren't great now, I suspect that in 5 years' time, probably be worse, but it ain't going to get any better. So everyone's in a different, you know, spot in their lives, and it's easy to talk the way that I do. And sometimes it's really hard for people. So I understand that in particular, but, you know, there's always ways out if you dedicate yourself. And Tony Robbins always, you know, that thing that he says, can I? Constant and never-ending improvement. So every day, just work yourself to get that little bit better. I'm not perfect, don't get me wrong, Terry. I'm no superstar, but I just go out there with that sort of philosophy. I have good days, bad days, man. I'm just, you know, I'm vulnerable like anyone else, you know, mental illness and all that, but just being positive and hanging around like-minded people, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, you strike me exactly that. You've always been a very, very straight-up guy. It must be the Laylaw Secondary College gene in you. Obviously, we do share that in common. We're both Laylaw alumni. I was actually at the school last week, and I saw that they've got the House Captain Award, the Anthony Koutoufides Award. So it's good to see a couple of Laylaw boys just getting out there having a crack.
Love Laylaw High. Was a great period of my life there. Some really fond memories and growing up, and that just, I reckon it was the greatest time. The 80s and 90s to me, I always look back, but it was my vintage, and so I had a great time. And Laylaw High was a great school. We had some incredible sports people that, you know, came out of there. But now it's like really hard. Terry, you know, there's people to get into that school. There's a lineup of people, a waiting list of people to get in there. We're talking 1,000 kids at that school currently, or over, and there's still a waiting list of kids. You know, I had a friend even hit me up, Kouta, who do you know there? I'm trying to get my kid in there. So that's how difficult it really is. So, yeah, good school choice by you, Terry.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. And talking about the 80s, the other thing I wanted to talk about, I watched AFL 360 the other night, and Adam Treloar was talking about his mental health struggles. And obviously, I think 2019 will probably go down in history as maybe the year where we really started focusing on the mental health aspect of athletes. I guess you played in an era where that just wasn't a conversation that we were having. So were those issues there? And if so, how did you deal with them in that point?
Yeah, it was there, no doubt about it. I mean, Wayne Swash talks about it. You know, when I had the death of my father in 98, I was ready to almost give up footy at that time. Not that I ever would, but it was at the back of my mind. Footy, the forefront was my father. And so I really, you know, wasn't dedicated to footy at that time. So it's such a fine line, AFL football. It's whether you're committed or really committed. It's a 1% difference. And if you're a little bit off, things can happen. And like what I said before, I'm vulnerable like anyone else. And although we're AFL so-called stars and people look up at us, we're human beings at the same time too. So people go through issues. We make mistakes. We do silly things. We're no different to everyone else. We had to grow up quicker, but there was no way known that I could talk to the coach about something like that. You know, the club were great to me though, in all honesty. David Park and Wayne Britton, Barry Mitchell, when I lost my father, they were incredible support. And I guess me and David Parkin, who probably didn't see eye to eye previous to that, we really connected from that point onwards, and I really do appreciate Parko for the help that he gave me through that period. But it was tough times, man. And sometimes I think some of the extra sessions that I did out of training, and I won't mention names, that, you know, we got a bit bullied and we got this and that, but it made me the person that I am now. And, you know, I don't take anything for granted. I'm actually glad that I went through those tougher times, because the obstacles and the tough times actually make you a better person when you get through it. There's some people out there I know that they would go through tougher things than what I've been through as well. And so I respect everyone for what they're going through, and life is tough. And sometimes living in Australia, we get a bit spoiled and think life is all supposed to be rosy, but it's not the case. We've got to really find ourselves in life and keep pushing and surround yourself good people, have great support. And I had I had great family support, including my wife and now my beautiful kids.
Absolutely, mate. And obviously, you and the kids. Obviously, I watch the tipping show every week. That's been going on for a couple of years now. The young fella, he's starting to get you, mate.
I think he's more popular than me at the moment, Lucas. So the cheer squad, I remember, I think a couple of years ago, they all yelled out, Lucas. He's like, Dad, they're all saying my name. And obviously, a lot of the people watch the what do we call it again? The tipping. Anyway, the tipping with Koutoufides, right? So, but I started on my own. Then my daughter Monique wanted to join me, and then she became. Everyone's like, "Oh, your daughter Monique," and then Lucas goes, "Oh, well, if they're on, I want to come on too." So when we had the three of us, people was getting out there, getting a lot of views, but now it's only Monique decided to hang up her boots.
A bit too cool to tip now, I understand.
The what, sorry?
She's a bit too cool to be tipping now, is she?
Yeah, she's at that age, mate. I have to respect and understand now. Her friends, doesn't want any of that sort of stuff, which is cool. But Lucas absolutely loves it because he loves the club with the passion. So to see the club win too, not only am I happy, just to see the smile on Lucas's face too, because I tell him about the good old days, but unless you actually witness it yourself, you don't understand the power of that football club. So, yeah, loving the kids in there, the tipping with Lucas, and I spend a lot of time with them, which is really important for me.
Fantastic, mate. And yeah, like you said, I find that for me, grew up a blue bagger, watching you play, those were my first memories of joy. That's really where my passion for Carlton comes from. Early in my life, things were happening that were not great, and I just remember the joy of going to the footy being the first real experience of happiness. And so what I've sort of found in the landscape today is, with the supporter base, we have those who grew up with the premierships and all the players in the teams of the decade and whatnot, and then we have the rest who probably just hear about the premierships from mum and dad and their uncles. And what I've found is, I guess you can call it a bit of a divide, and we're sort of starting to bridge that gap now. And I think the purpose of this whole channel is really just to promote discussion. And I mean, because like I said, the social media aspect of the footy landscape now, I mean, the players have made it really clear. Like, they read it, it gets to them, it affects them. And I think we, as the supporters, need to take accountability and responsibility for what we say and what we do. Because it's like I said, it's clear. What you are saying to me, it hurts. And so we try and really promote, discussion, but with some intelligence to it. Have your opinion, but bring some analysis to it, bring some facts to it. How have you seen the supporters sort of in your time, and now how have you seen the evolution?
Mate, the supporters were unbelievable to me, Terry. In all honesty, I was very lucky. I still now, they'll stop me and talk to me, and I'm very honoured that they still remember me. But I know as a young kid, there was no social media around, but I used to do the Carlton Care for Kids program, and that was with Ange and David Kernahan, and we sort of started that program back years ago. But the kids, even then, because I was playing reserves footy, they'd be like, "Oh, you're not that good. You're not even playing senior footy." So I got affected by just little kids saying it to me. So I find it disgusting, really, when people can just say whatever they want on social media, but they really have to be careful and understand the kid. I went through some tough times when I first started at Carlton. I'm not sure, being a sensitive kid, I'm not sure how I would have handled it being a young kid with social media and people telling you, their actual thoughts about you, because people can have their opinion. But with, deep within the club, I knew I probably wasn't getting the opportunity like some of the other players, and it affected me mentally and made me a better person maybe afterwards. But I seen players and thought, no, hang on, I'm playing better than them. I should be out in the field playing senior footy, and I wasn't given that opportunity. So, you're sort of you're tied. Your hands are tied, and hoping that the club, selectors and all that are liking you. But if they don't like you, then you're not going to get that opportunity. And I see a lot of players come in who have got the ability, and some get more opportunity than others. So the social media part is very difficult and hard, and I think it only makes it even more difficult for the players nowadays. And I totally respect the players with what they have to go through. Yes, we can have our opinion. If players aren't playing well, we can say that. We don't understand what they're going through, and we're allowed to do that. That's part of life. But I think people just need to be careful in what they write to players and have a bit of respect for, and understand that there's only a certain amount of percentage of people that actually can walk through the AFL doors. And there's a lot of kids. You know what? I trained kids last night, Preston Bull Ants, and, you know, I go, who wants to play AFL? I'm telling you, 70, 80% of the kids put it up. They might have just put up for the sake of it. Like, even if it's 50% that have fair income about it, how many of them are likely to make AFL?
Yeah, so
very rare. It's limited. I played under 15s at Carlton in their development squad. Not one of those players in the under 15s went on to play senior footy. So a lot got picked, chosen at that stage, never went on. So it's tough enough, and it's a great achievement just even to get an opportunity to play AFL. And I think people need to respect that. But some players just need a little bit of time, and some players have got to find the right coach, and sometimes you've got to find the right position on the ground. You know, it's not simple, Terry. And when I look now, I think, God, how lucky was I, you know what I mean, to get there.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And one final one, I think obviously the whole Teague discussion and the coach, you played a little bit of footy with David Teague, right?
Yes, I did, yep.
What do you remember about him as a player?
Mate, great. You know, tough and hard, went at it, showed leadership qualities, there's no doubt about it, loved the game of footy, and I think he got everything out of himself that he possibly could. So Dennis got him to the club, obviously loved him at North Melbourne, and he was just a great player for us. I think he's doing a terrific job, Teague. I think he's a great guy. And, you know, it's not for me to say who or whatever, but there's no reason why he shouldn't be selected as coach too. But the next few weeks, and mind you, I'm not part of the committee and what they're looking for, but we'll know. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's options and there's opinions and whatnot. I think at the end of the day, I don't know how to say this phrase. I mean, I say we're slaves to the football club in a sense because, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, whatever they choose, we're still going to support. We're still going to show up. We're still going to barrack. I know we have our preferences and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I love Teague. I love just the ethos. Go and play your best footy. Play to your strengths. Let me get the right players in the right positions where they do their best, play their best footy. So I love that. Keep it simple. Whatever happens next, if they go and get a more experienced guy in terms of, you know, a Vossi or a Clark or whatever it is. For me, it's just more, I'm still going to back the boys in, still going to support. I think we can get a little riled up with this whole decision. But it's going to be interesting, mate.
It will be, Terry. And I look at, I thought, you know, back years ago was the most important decision of my time in the history of the club as far as I can remember. This is going to be one of those times again, Terry. It's that they've got to make the right decision in going forward because, you know, it's time that we want to see, you know, the guys playing finals footy and letting these young supporters, like you said, Terry. I mean, me as a young kid, I barracked for the wrong team, Collingwood. But I watched Carlton winning so many premierships, man. I was in envy of that football club, you know. And then I got to play there, got to play in a premiership. And I want these young kids. Look, in our day, it was more, back then Footscray, and now there's Western Bulldogs, St Kilda, Sydney, and all these teams. Melbourne finishing down the bottom, and Carlton were always that team. And all we can hold on to is our 16 premierships. But these young kids, these young supporters need to see the power of this football club that when we start to get going, we'll take over the competition again. Like when I walked in those doors back in 1991, we're the most prestigious, most powerful club in the competition, led by the greatest president back then. No doubt the greatest president I had in my time, and John Elliott.
Absolutely, mate. Well, look, I want to thank you very much for your time. I understand you're a busy man and really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me, talking all things footy, life, business. Like I said, mate, you really set the blueprint for, you know, for business people along the way and also for athletes who maybe want to think about what they can do after footy. And that's really important in this day and age with, I guess, you know, we can sort of be cornered into what we do in life. And I think for athletes in particular, it's very important that they have some other aspect of their life to pursue because, you know, for you played for over a decade, but not all players get that luxury. So congratulations on that. And, mate, hopefully we'll be chatting to you once the Blue Boys are in finals.
Thanks, Terry. I appreciate it. If you guys want to follow me on my Facebook public page or Instagram and that too, or hit me up with any questions if you're struggling health-wise. And my goal, Terry, you're right. I need to go out there and help more of these athletes that are starting to get towards their retirement, you know, ending their career and helping them with what I've been able to be lucky enough to found.
Awesome. Cheers, Kouta.
Have a good one. See you guys.